recording it, to be honest. Hey, David, there you are.
Hey.
Reason, the reason I'm recording it is because Vicky Scott asked me to, because she wasn't going to be able to meet here and she wanted to watch it. She says she enjoys the folks so far, and hopefully she'll be getting into one of the groups. I know she was slotted for Group 1 at the one time. So with all this, want to we'll start it up. This is a review of the players, or opportunity for the players that played in the game as primaries to review the game as they see it, and bring constructive criticism forward for all of us, so we can better ourselves and put better content out there. Along with all that. And for any of the viewers that are out there that may be watching, that watch the videos and have constructive criticism there, and I really do mean constructive, because I'm a pretty easygoing person, and if it gets too vile, I'll handle it like I handle my kids. As far as that. I won't pick bones about it, and it's supposed to be a game. It's a community, and there's going to be there will be some guidelines, so the majority can enjoy themselves here and not feel belittled, imprisoned, whatever, however you want to put the terminology on it. Like I put in there, I like the one saying from Dave from Nerdarchy: key rule, don't be a dick. So with that, I'll open up the floor for whoever wants to start as far as that, because I'm going to sit back, and this is more about you guys, to me, as far as what I offered up as a product, and from what you saw from the other aspects.
Awesome. So what sort of criticisms would you like? Like, what sort of things would you me to comment on?
Well, I could just start off.
Okay, cool.
Myself, with just any game I play, I always have, I feel at least anyways, that I always sort of bumble at my character introductions. And I actually, in watching our game over again, I thought it was actually a really cool scene that we made with Ajax's fever and testing the limits of it with the gold clinking. But I realized that I totally glossed over any physical description of Ajax. And just now, fiddling with files in the lower third, I realize, oh, it's quite easy to get a character pickup there, and you can keep your face, your pretty face, smiling to the rest of the gamers as well. So that's what my immediate takeaway from rewatching it was. I want to remember to get a beadline of not just setting the scene, but also readdressing my character, his appearance, because there's quite usually new players coming in to guild games.
Okay, and I kind of agree. I know across a bunch of the different channels that most of us kind of monitor, watch, participate in, intros have been was a hot topic. It kind of drifted off back to the burner, but I do think that personally, I kind of like some of the ways that we moved some of our intros to make it more story vamped, and I personally kind of like that. I think we need to hone ourselves a little bit better, but there again, it's from your guys' perspective. What do you think works the best? Where's your happy and comfort zone? Because I know not everybody's going to be on the same sheet, because we're all different and our comfort zones shift.
Myself, I'd like to introduce my character the way I sort of see my character. I, I don't mind like people saying, "Oh, this is that person," and then like take along, and I like to introduce my character's name and what that person looks like in a sort of like quite a nice detailed description if I can. 'Cause it does take me a while to like get into the character role and get that sort of persona from deep within inside me. But I know that you guys enjoy my characters, and I hope you do. If you don't, then that's fine. If you find my character concepts a bit unusual or upsetting or disturbing, just let me know.
Well, Dave, on that piece there, I love all the passion you put into your character concepts and like that. The one thing I would ask, and it's not going to be a demand, it's not going to be much more than an ask, and it's not just to you. I think to ourselves. I know you want to bring forward your character as much as you can, but on the intros at least, if we can limit ourselves to a more reasonable timeline to share across for each people and bring it on in, and then later on in through the gameplay, refine it where it's applicable. And yeah, your last character, that was a lack for a better word, that was one crazy witch. She dark and twisted, and I told you that several times about that. Like the character, like that, and we discussed some other things about it, but and I'm sure everything's copacetic. But
she's not a witch because witches are.
No, I'm using a different term other than what I was going to, because I'm trying to stay to the community standard.
Well, yeah, she's just a druid, really, a dark druid that sort of like does dark things. It's
I'm all right with that as far as that. But remember, druids traditionally. Now, I'm not talking about historically, but I'm talking traditionally in the D&D genre, have always been about balance. Trying to keep good balanced with evil balanced with good, and trying to come to that perfect harmony in between. So it's very perceivable for a druid, and that's why I don't, on the particular character we're talking about, I'm not really overly excited about some of the things. But you got to remember, it is a balancing act because of the class that you took and the way that they're kind of vented. There is that you're going to want to stay in that neutral area. You sway to the left, sway to the right, but maybe the purpose is to try to stay as much to the middle as possible. Have fun with it. I don't think nobody minds you having fun in a dark way, as dark as in gothic, like you've made her particular. And as far as that, it's just that the piece that we were talking about was on the intros. I know that you really go down into it, and if we could streamline it a little bit there, so our viewers can get seeing more of your characters in action, is what I would say.
Well,
go ahead.
Along those lines, related to that, kind of looking at it from a writing point of view, one thing I would suggest for character intros, and pretty much everybody does this, is during the immediate intro, pretty much stick with mostly visuals, just what the character looks like. I mean, if there's something weird, like they smell funny or something, another sense maybe, or if they make some kind of weird sound when they walk, or just something. But I would stick with just outward appearances, and the reason I suggest that is, one, it would help shorten any lengthy character introductions, and things like motivations and inner turmoils and ideas and beliefs that characters have, those generally, at least in my opinion, come out better in actual gameplay. Because those, I mean, if a character has like a twitch or a certain kind of smile or something that might hint at something, that's fine. That's a visual reference. But as far as like their sort of inner workings, I think that kind of thing comes out better in play. And it takes up less time during the introductions. And it's also a surprise. It's a surprise to the other players and those viewing and even the dungeon master. But that's kind of my 2 cents on that.
And I see Chris's head bobbing back and forth doing the north and south, so you evidently have some input for it also. Say what? You're muted or something. Can't hear you. Oh.
He's lost connection.
Yeah, he dropped to probably come back on in. But oh, there we are.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, we can hear you now. It's better than a Verizon commercial.
Yeah, I totally agree with Ty on that good visual, because the shock effect, if you are totally different, I like that. So you don't, and if you describe your character to be like this way, maybe people understand it in a different way, and they don't understand why did you do that, because you say something else earlier that doesn't match totally up, because we perceive things differently.
Yeah.
But if you do something actions, you perceive it totally the same way. So sometimes, but yeah. I totally agree on Ty.
Justin?
Kind of to sort of mirror or echo what Chris just said, I think, and then also going with what Ty was talking about, leaving like motivations and particular like character traits, they're great fodder, I think, for role play. And then rather than jamming it into the middle of an intro, it gives your party the chance to also interact with you and be like, oh, well, why are you putting all those gems in your pocket, Ajax? Well, I have dragon fever.
Yeah. I thought that was brilliant. Dragon fever. That is a cool effect. That really got you guys screwed big time.
Oh, those are my gems. Oh, why is my sword in your stomach?
Yeah. Okay, and so I think for the most part we got a way forward on that to look forward to. As far as that, the other thing that I'd make mention is not just with some in this particular group, and we all do it to a degree when we're players, and because there's some of us that DM through here and stuff, is we got to be a little bit more, I think, a little more conscious about metagaming, because I think if you watch the videos and stuff from time to time, you see it pop up in there that some of the knowledge that particular character may not have, unless the other characters that were involved with it actually brought it forward, or if they were briefed from some other entity about it. It's not terrible, but I think if you look at the videos, there's been some instances that have driven some player characters' choices that necessarily by their backgrounds and their backstory may not have chose some of that stuff, and it's just something for us to be watchful. That's something I've noticed as going back through some of them, and it's not so bad that I've had to. I don't think I've only but mentioned maybe once or twice in a game that whoa, you don't know about that type of thing. So it's not horrible. It's not like it's constant like some games that I've either played in or.
Yeah, I totally agree with you.
As far as that on that.
Yeah, because like myself, I'm looking forward to like discovering like the purpose of Drow. I'm looking forward to learning about that race and learning a bit more about their culture and what they do. Because I never actually played Drow, and I always was interested in like Dark Elves, but I don't know much about their lore or about their culture, and I really would like to do that as a character. I mean, I know that they worship the spider god, which is like an evil god. But I think they do also worship neutral gods as well. I think, but I'm not 100% sure. So I'd like to know more
Well,
about that race. That'd be awesome.
well, there's a couple great products that's out there. Some of the older stuff from Forgotten Realms on the Drow and like that, and that Out of the Abyss for 5e, it goes over pretty good. Primarily, if you're a player character Drow, you're a black sheep of the race, and just by being neutral, a non-evil, you're more or less a black sheep of that race, because they primarily, even though Loth has a daughter and like that, and the daughter's actually not anywhere near as evil as the mother, it's still most in the general Drow society that you'll see that they are all expected to worship none other than the chaotic evil spider witch law for the most part, and there are deviations, but using that as the generality for the race in general, but player characters are always deviant of hardline racial and cultural issues, especially in 5e. They lightened up on some of those aspects for a player character instead of keeping those character races hardline to the stereotypical images and choices.
Cool.
If that helps you.
Yeah, because I'm looking forward to like playing again as my druid girl. Now that I can shapeshift, I can now describe the actual shapeshifting ability that she's going to do in game. That's going to be awesome.
Okay. And as far as that, any other insights that you guys have seen from them or want to talk about on the game?
I have some the meta game. If some see I made the game, I like to know it. But sometimes I don't register. I do it myself if I does. Just so we say that's made the game. I will not get mad. I would just change what I'm doing.
Oh, just yeah, and the majority of the metagaming that I'm referring to is subconscious stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, just say that to me. So if I'm going to do it, I like to know so I can stop it. Or because if I don't know I do it, I will always do it. So
yeah,
that's just it.
All right, Ty.
I'm kind of in the same boat. If I'm ever metagaming, definitely somebody let me know. Or and one thing I watch, or I try to watch, is Fletch being a more experienced member of the guild. I sometimes probably act like maybe he is, well, just because he's more experienced, he knows a few more things. I mean, he's at least faced certain monsters and stuff that other people probably hadn't, and situations and things. But if I go overboard with that, like he knows too much, again, just let me know. But one, not really a criticism, but one thing that kind of bugged me a little bit is, and this may not be a DM thing, it may be a guild members thing, is running into yet another note that nobody could, or another letter that nobody could read. We've had 2 or 3 of those lately. And man, we all, again, I don't mean it as a criticism of the game. From a plot element, it makes sense. But as a guild, we got to start learning other languages besides like human, orc, elf, and
Can I
dwarf.
interject there real quick?
Sure, go ahead.
I went out of my way. I mentioned this to Charles already because I took Wizard. I went out of my way not to metagame that situation, and I did not take comprehend languages.
No, that makes sense.
But I agree. Like, yeah, like I did choose my languages for character or whatever. Like for a guy interested in arcane trickery and giants. But yeah, like it's pretty funny. We're all going through our lists of languages and. Yeah, we'll just hang on to this note.
Well, as soon as Fletch realizes you know magic, he's going to grab you by the collars and say, "You know, damn spell to read stuff."
And the thing is really the two languages, because Group 2 has the same problem.
Yeah, I noticed.
And they're two basic languages because bugbears they talk Goblin.
Yeah.
And what you guys ran into were gnolls. They just talk gnolls, and those are common.
Oh
monsters.
no, I know. It's just
and
it seems like we just never have anybody who can read it.
And I was hoping that someone had that, and that's why I rolled for who was it, Bill there, and Jeter to see if they could read it. And giving them, I mean, I gave it a 50-50 shot, and it's just the dice. That day the dice wasn't there, and you're right. I'm going to have to be personally, from my takeaway, a little more attentive on some of that because it does. Those notes do add a little bit of something if you know what they're saying at the time. Definitely by the time that you get to the outpost with it, there'll be someone there that's able to read it. And when Group 2 gets to their next somewhat civilized area going off that way, they'll have someone there that can read it as far as that. But it's just unfortunate the way the dice rolled and everything else on that one. But yeah, that's something for me as a DM.
Well, it also might
be more attentive to what you guys, especially the ones that have played several times, what your abilities are.
Well, it might also help if we left somebody alive who could read it, like one of the gnolls. But when we were fighting them,
see, that wouldn't have done you any good, anyone in the party any good, because nobody speaks Gnoll.
I'll teach you common.
And in the monster manual, both those races don't speak common.
Oh.
See, and that's the thing with it. Until I went and I actually looked again. I didn't realize that, so that was my bad on that. And I know I'll have to work on that. In fact, I got to put that down in my notes.
And Ty, Ajax forgot to get your measurements for Fletch's coffin.
Why? You think there'd be a body left?
Digested by a dragon.
Nah, Fletch isn't worried about the dragon.
And all right, I think we pounded that one somewhat. Any other issues? Robin, you've been sitting in the back. I don't know if you've watched any of the games, but I mean, we'll take from what you heard. If you haven't, we'll take from what you heard some cheap shots from the peanut gallery.
I haven't watched any of the later games. I started like a way back watching some of your earlier games, but not in direct connection to where you are now. But like I've wrote Justin, I feel so bad. The wizard I thought bringing I thought, let me do something completely different with this guy. I'm gonna have a wizard who is gonna have a high int and a high charisma, and it's gonna be like a agent of Harper's. So I picked the linguist feat as a variant human. And after hearing this discussion now, that's going to be seen as the most metagaming thing ever.
Not really, but there again, that's what I love about one, the people that build the guild here or have made the guild, because they have made the guild members have, because of all the different personalities and how they develop their character types, and with some of them liking certain flaws and design their characters around those flaws, and other ones liking certain strengths and designing them around that. So that, and you're saving my bacon, so I love you to death as far as that, because of me myself dropping that and not really having that offered on out. And with this kind of shorter series, it may be longer than what I figured, but it was a shorter series that they're on right now. It's not like they can go back to Pincus, back to the guild, and Pincus can cast comprehend languages.
No.
And like that. So it's putting newer challenges to the members, which personally I like, and it's adding along the way. There's going to be so many places for different story hooks, whether for this or for after we get this done, that I like.
Anyway, I've got some personal stuff to catch up with my wife and kids. So,
All right.
Thanks a lot for the invite, man. Talk to you soon.
No problem. Hey, on your Gothic Drow witch there, don't forget, because you participated here with the discussion and stuff, you'll have a point of inspiration to start her with.
Awesome.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank you,
no
Mr.
problem.
Bows and respects.
All right.
The only thing I actually had to say from seeing like a few of your earlier games and from all games in general was that I really agree with Ty's idea of the introduction part. To like describe your character, maybe if you have like something when you walk into a bar and you see this person, describe what you would see, and let like keep his inner secrets as a kind of what to say, something to build up on through the game, so you actually have something to bring and show the viewer later on as well, because it's when you like have a 15 to 20 minute character introduction in the beginning, it's just getting a bit too much when you have 5 players, and also your characters are gonna look like dull for the rest of the game because you don't see any new sides of them.
Well, I agree, and there again, that's why we've gone to this method for right now, and this is really the first, and it's a pilot test, I guess, if you want to call it that, where instead of discussing the game right afterwards, where your brain's tired, your body's tired, and like that. It allows you to go back, review the game, allows your brain to adjust and really be as objective as you possibly can, and then come back here, and maybe we'll be end up with a more fruitful information string to drive from this method, and that's what we're reaching for. We'll see how it goes.
What I think is an important point, because I have sometimes played in a game, like I have one particular game in mind where I played a paladin, and I was like Mr. Lawful Good Christian sculpted around paladin, and for almost 2 sessions we had one fight, and I was like polymorphed for an entire battle, and I got hit, like critted, and died at the beginning of one battle. So I wasn't able to do any of the things I hoped to do in that game. And when I was playing, it was so frustrating. But when I reviewed it later on, I think maybe those games possibly have been one of my better role-playing exercises for myself, because I had to actually play a character I didn't like to play. I was forced into a position where I couldn't just cut the head of the guy I wanted to kill, because that was not something my character would do. And viewing it later on, it seemed like a very good experience, and it looked cool as well, instead of just cheesy, which it would have been if I acted as I would like to do. And I think that's a lot easier. Like when you say, if you review it maybe a day after, a week after, whatever, but not like 15 minutes after the last boss fight or when your character got killed.
Yeah, and that's what we're basically hoping for. And there again, and this, like I said at the beginning, this is all supposed to be for positivity, and that doesn't mean you got to say all nice things. The positivity being constructive criticism, where if guys have been doing some really good things, I believe in accolades towards that, so we can foster to continue that. But where we see weaknesses and like that can be changed and hopefully will be changed, we can bring that forward, because like Chris and Ty were saying, and I even find myself when I play in other games and like that, it's sometimes hard not to metagame to a certain level, because we know knowledge as people, but does our character know it? And sometimes we make choices based upon subconsciously what we know and not what the character might have. So that's why I think that this venue may work well. Is it perfect? No. Will it get better? I hope so.
Yeah, I really enjoyed this little review session, and I look forward to more.
As far as that, and so is there anything else that you guys saw?
Well, I'll criticize myself a little bit. I still somewhat feel bad about splitting the party, having Fletch go off and kind of do his own thing. To me, it makes sense from a character point of view, but
he's a man in love.
Or yeah. Well, he's a man in pain at the moment, but from a player's point of view, I know I hate it when other people do that kind of stuff.
But here again, Ty, we've played enough together that if I thought it was going to derail the game and didn't make sense, I would do a lot of things to try to railroad you back to stay with the party.
Okay.
It makes sense. It's that, and we're going to handle that on the sidebar, on the side anyway.
Okay.
But as far as what goes through that to drive you back to where you need to be at the outpost, and with you having the two games this Saturday and whatnot, it works out perfect for your schedule. We can play that in between, whether it's by text or we get together on a short hangout or something and work it on.
Okay.
As far as that, it's if I didn't think it was going to be productive, then I tried to readjust it.
Okay. Well, Fletch is really hoping he's just going to like ride there and there's nothing to see, and he turns around and goes back. But that probably won't happen.
I guarantee there's going to be something to see.
Okay.
As far as that, whether it's what you want to see and what you expect to see, but it's going to be. I think it's going to be good as far as storyline and play.
Okay.
And that's where I got to keep my head at. You know, with trying to DM is to keep the storyline where it makes sense, where the characters decide to go deviate from where I thought the pattern was going to be, I don't get upset at that. And you know, you guys I think know that. I try to work with it as much as we can. Now, if it's just there to kind of break the game because you don't like the way it was going, and that's kind of like what was happening with Group 2 for a little bit, or seemed to, as far as that scenario really did not go anywhere near what I had imagined, but that's as much my fault as any. Because there was, when I went back and looked at it, there was avenues I could have let certain things go. They weren't as pertinent as I thought they were, and that's where myself, I say as a DM, I got the little cheesy Mox Next things. Let them go if they're just not working, and if they're going to delay the game. And that cheesy little thing that I did want delayed the game for at least a half hour. And on my side, that's bad. You know, that could have been a half hour more playing really along the storyline rather than trying to, because I thought I had a cute idea to try to force the cute idea. So that's my bad. Bad DM.
I thought you did handle the game quite well, and it was enjoyable to watch, both the first and the second session.
Well, it can be, but I was really getting frustrated. I saw some players getting frustrated because I do pay attention to the thumbnails.
Matt did look like he was getting a little frustrated. I hope he does come back, though.
I hope so too, but I also didn't realize he was in Australia, so it was getting also late in the day for him too. So on top of just some goofy stuff, you know, there again, like I was talking about before, mentally and physically tired, it makes it sometimes more of a challenge to climb that hill.
Yeah, and it seems like the party was split in two ways. The some will just steal some horses and go, and the other party don't want to steal horses.
Well, and that's where I said myself as the DM, I could have let go on a couple of those issues right there because they weren't game breakers. I could have had in hindsight being 2020, not had the noble come on out from the vault, the city vault, and holler that, and you guys would have took the horses and went off. You wouldn't have felt bad that you were stealing them and just set add a story in the background, have it come on the rumor that you guys stole the horses, and it would have never drew that on back. That was my bad. There again, I gotta be a little mindful of some of the things I think that I wanted to see. Let those go for the sake of the story. If it start going south.
Don't feel it's your bad.
Well, it is.
This is just took some horses that was right beside us.
No, but it's my bad that I didn't just cut it loose, and that's where, as the DM, I had all the power to be able to do that, and it did drag down things. Now, am I going to lose sleep over it? No, I'm just going to learn from it and go from it. And there again, that's why it's constructive criticism, being honest about things, and not being mean. And I watched that stupid game twice, and started picking where I was not being as effective as the DM or the storyteller at keeping the game going, and where I was lackadaisical and allowed the game to kind of get skewed a little bit and go sideways. And there's nobody else to place that finger on than myself. because there's three to four places that I saw that as a DM I could have just sped that up.
It did make me wonder, being in Group 1, did we just steal a bunch of horses? Because we were at the vault and basically were like, where are horses? And what were the hobbits' name? Bob and Jitter?
Jitters.
Yeah, they just kind of pointed to some horses and we're like, okay, those are our horses. We took them.
Yeah, Ajax believes they were free, but
that's I figured they were either city horses or the hobbits had them. But
now
I'm wondering.
But see here, the difference being was the characters of those two halflings. They're pretty much more upright, where the other, which was foreshadowed and brought out in the story with the other two, where he was talking to who was it? It was Amnit's org character, the paladin, about having this artifact to sell, and whispering to him, doing it a lot shadier, and where to set the tone that you may not want to believe what these little guys are necessarily saying.
I noticed a few things with the differences between the two adventures that have kind of kept my lips sealed plot-wise, because I don't want to loose the arrows where metagaming could go. But yeah, I like how you might think that it's the exact same hobbits, but no, it's playing a different game.
and that's exactly why I did it that way, to make them pretty much more opposites in personality, so, simply for my own sanity, because it's easier for me at that point as the DM. Okay, Group 2 has the less than honorable two that are out to make solely a buck. Group 1 has a little bit more honorable set that are out to make a buck, but in a more legit way. As far as that, any other insights or things that you guys are looking to try to hope for in the games to come?
I'm worried Ajax might begin to enjoy the dragon fever and not be willing to cure it.
Hey, you are cured. We already rolled all that. It's
try to convince him of that.
Yeah. Well, there again, that's something for your character to pick up on, and if that's something you want, that's.
Well, we did the rolls, but isn't there still a few more weeks for those rolls to actually go by?
It was 2 weeks. This week's in that game roll was a success, so you don't have to make it for a week. And then the last week's game, you're there. You still, when you hear the clinking of coins at any time, still have to make the DC 12 charm effect, or you believe that's yours. You deserve it. You want it, as far as that. And and if you want to peruse the description of the illness, it is in the news Nerdarchy
the newsletter.
And what was it? 2 weeks, 3 weeks ago?
Something like that.
Something like that. But if you can't find it, I printed it up so I have it on hand. Just let me know, and I'll shoot it on out to you. And there again, that's another aspect that I'm looking across the board. If I see things that are very tasty that I think are going to add to the game, I don't care whose game they're in. If they give me inspiration for something, you may trip across them.
Awesome. I want to mention, I can't remember what it was that made me think about it. Something that we mentioned earlier, but it might have been with Robin's paladin being polymorphed and like having to role play not the holy paladin he wanted, but a whole different aspect of a character. But me and Ty were in a game where Andrew Knapp, he kept killing us all, but then he'd let us play the bad guys as it was going on. Now, like, I know that's, but I'm thinking, like, that was just such a great way to kind of get us out of our character, and boom, now you're a goblin. Boom, now you're a giant. Boom, now you're a gnomish wizard. And I was thinking, like, that's a real interesting way to get people role-playing new things. And I'm just thinking there possibly down the line you could have people from the guild, like even Dan, coming in and playing a bad guy. And I think maybe you've sort of mentioned that before. You might have that. Maybe in the post or something, I read it somewhere. But yeah, like guild members coming in and playing lowly goblins or on an ambush or something. And
there's, at some point, I wouldn't mind having a game there if we to maybe go and recruit some guild members that just don't want to play their characters but want to play in the game, and then set it up. And then all I got to do is sit back somewhat on some of the events and do autopilot and let you do a somewhat of a PvP as far as that, and just moderate the death afterwards.
Yeah, that sounds interesting for future thoughts.
But if I was going to do that, it's going to be something like that would be around the time frame in one of the adventures where you get to the big boss, and they may play some of the underlings, lieutenants or whatever, prior to getting that big boss.
Very cool.
And,
I probably like more the doors evolve. Maybe hear about one of the doors, maybe step forward or do stuff like that. The gods.
the gods?
Yeah. Maybe one of the good guys coming forward and bless us because of something we did, or I don't know how evolved your gods are in this game, but
I've always been a gods minimalist as far as interaction. But not saying they won't either. That's just an old habit from first edition when playing.
Yeah. We just met a god, though probably most people didn't realize it.
Yeah, we got a dragon in the guild hall now, brother.
Nice, good one. That's a good one.
But it's gonna, and I'm not saying that won't happen. I'm just saying right at the moment,
it's not gonna happen.
Right at the moment, it hasn't happened.
Okay.
Because it hasn't, story-wise, kind of fit and made sense yet. Because right now, the guild members, as far as the guy, in my mind, and maybe this will put a little clarity to it, as far as that, the guild members are basically acting like the gods' heroes, pawns, going up against the evil, rather than just having the city guard or the city army going against the Darzanan and his minions. Go ahead, Ty.
Yeah, I was going to say, and not that many members of the guild are very religious. I mean, or notably.
And you're correct. There's not a lot of them that are truly devout. In fact, the one that has been one of the most devout is the darkest one that we've had in the guild so far.
Is that David's dark elf?
Yeah. I mean, whether I agree with the actions of her in the last game or not. Her driven purposes with trying to come up to meet that ceremony for Loth, which I'm still trying to figure out if I'm going to allow or not, since it's not an official ceremony by Wizards
Does it
of the
involve
Coast.
human sacrifice?
Yes and no, not really. It's from what I was reading on it, it's Loth picks someone for that person to go up against, and they battle kind of to the death. And if the player character loses, it's bad because she sucks their soul dry. So, and I don't know if I really want to enter that arena with it, and I really got to think about it. And it's only for the most devout in her mind, and that's also one of the areas where it's like, okay, that doesn't, in one respect, doesn't make sense for the player character in the guild to be able to qualify for that, because you're that black sheep away from the standard religious belief, cultural belief. You're out and away from it. You're not worshiping Loth in the utmost, and all player characters for the guild have to be non-evil. I mean, it's in every post I put there. So, being that if you're going to worship Loth, you're going to have to, and really be in that inner circle to be selected, in my mind right now, you'd have to be chaotic evil, which...
And am quite secretive about it to, like, the general public, I would assume. Right?
So, and right now, that just doesn't... It's a situation where it doesn't make a whole lot of sense right now, and have to see if something changes on that, but I don't... At this moment in time, at 7:58 p.m. on 4/20/2016 Central European time, I don't see it. Now, a month from now, maybe. I don't know.
Besides the general public, I'm pretty sure that if it came out within the guild that there was somebody worshiping Loth, there might be some higher up guild members who might have something to say about that.
Yeah.
And I'm not talking...
And you're right. I think the guild masters themselves would not be very content with that. I could, there's all kinds of different actions that they could take as far as that. And it's not saying that a player that went down that path wouldn't be able to play in this world with that character as a player character, just not as a guild member player character. Maybe in one of the other other games once in a while, that like I was running with the Black Roses and some of the other side games where they're a little darker aligned in that sense, being an assassin's guild or something like that at a higher level, you could get away. I could justify it in my mind. Let's put it that way.
Yeah.
But the guild's been staying as steady as they can, at least to go no further than chaotic neutral.
Okay. I tried to pray to my God, but it's hard to forgive people if you kill them all. So
You just got to start killing the right people.
I have prayed a bit about the people that died in the fighting against the Firesnake, but yeah, because our people kill them and I forgive them. kill our own people. That's what.
Yeah. And it sounds like Dan's game. I only saw a little bit of Dan's intro on his game. Read it while I was at work. It sounds like the Dust Shroud are going to have fun inside the city. as far as that, so we'll have some more of the underbelly of the city information coming up, I think.
Yeah, they wouldn't be trying that nonsense if Fletch was there. Yeah, leave town and all hell breaks loose.
That's right. But see, and that's one of the aspects of what we've been doing here with this particular product that's fun, because Dan seems to like the inner cities, the workings there to work around for the most part, I think, and he does a nice job with it, and it looks like he's getting his time freed up where he can DM a little bit more than what he has because of the schooling, so it'll be interesting. And I'm definitely when Ty gets the chance, waiting to see what he does with that storyline he was talking about, because that sounds fun.
I think I'm going to wait till Fletch gets back to town.
All right, that's fine. As far as that, but that's I did want to put that out there. That is really I like the idea of it, because there's a couple twists and turns that can come from it, and
oh yeah.
I like to be in that game because I was there when it happened.
Oh yeah, that's right.
But alrighty. Any other points that you guys would like to see, or?
I like to see a big monster.
Oh, you will see that. Guaranteed.
Be careful what you ask for.
I want to fight a demon god.
You might.
With by my side. And
Want to take on the old Demogorgon?
Sure, that's it. With AJ on my side. And Brits.
It doesn't even take that. Just one night hag and the party's done.
They willingly go. We will serve you, night hag.
Well, it was close to that. As far as that. Alrighty. With that, I'll go ahead and we'll close this on out if there's nothing else. And I thank you all for your time, for coming and participating. And like we agreed on the earlier guild talk, and we'll talk more about it at this other one. And I planned this other one before another event, so purposely. And no problem, Robin. You here again. We're as open as we can possibly be, transparent. It's about trying to make as many community members in our little community comfortable and enjoy, because you're investing your time, we're investing our time. Let's make this a co-mutual investment, not like AIG and Saxman Gold and all those other where it's self-serving. As far as that, so. But yeah, we'll do that, and then if you got some ideas, jot them on down for next for that next guild talk on the what was it, the 25th?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so.
As far as that, and then from there we'll try to do it at least maybe once a month, so the guild can get together, and if it becomes where it's kind of tedious at once a month, then we'll talk about spreading out at a different time frame. But since these are kind of pilot or early born editions, we'll keep certain intervals and things like they are for the time being to see how they work out.
Cool.
And if there's anything that any one of you guys want to say, including you, Robin, you can before I stop the broadcast.
No, I just think the idea behind the guild is a great thing. That you can come and go a bit as a player, as it fits your schedule, but like the overall story arc you're able to see. I think it's one of the better ways to make a cool campaign out of one-shots.
And well, that goes primarily I guess the premise of the idea was Ian and I think Ian mentioned it was him and Lloyd Collins that were talking about it, and we they started playing with it, and then it just segued into what it is right now with what we got, and I do thank them or whoever that it was that spurred it, because it gave us the food for thought and the platform.
Excellent.
Anybody else?
I
Okay.
look forward to more gaming with the guild, with the Unnamed Adventurers Guild.
Well, we hope to see you and many others in the days, months, years to come. So thanks for your time once again, and happy game until we meet again.
Bye, guys.
Bye. 1, 2, 3.